Right now, as you're listening to this, there are two versions of you. The first version is the one living your current life, the one accepting limitations, making excuses, and quietly telling yourself why things just aren't possible. The second version is who you could become. Stronger, sharper, unstoppable. That version of you already exists. It's just waiting to be unlocked. And the difference between these two versions, it's not talent, it's not luck, it's not your circumstances, it's belief. Self-belief is the single most powerful force that separates people who achieve extraordinary things from those who stay stuck living ordinary lives. But here's what most people get wrong. Belief isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you can build intentionally, step by step. This journey is about learning how to reprogram your mind, how to break free from self, and how to build a level of confidence that doesn't shake. By the end of it, you won't just hope you can succeed. You'll know. Chapter 1. The Belief Prisoner. Biggest enemy isn't the economy. It's not your competition. It's not your situation. It's the voice inside your head, the one that tells you, you're not good enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. That voice feels real, but it's not the truth. It's a story that's been programmed into you over years through criticism, fear, and past experiences. Every limitation you believe about yourself today is just a mental program running in the background. And most of those programs were installed when you were young, when your mind was impressionable. Someone told you that you weren't smart. Maybe you were made to feel too sensitive. Maybe you failed once, and your mind decided to protect you from ever trying again, so it convinced you you don't have what it takes. But here's the truth, the one that actually sets you free. None of those limitations are real. They exist only in your mind, and anything that exists in your mind can be changed. The reason you haven't reached your goals isn't because you lack ability. It's because you've been operating from a belief system designed to keep you safe, not to help you grow. Think about it. There are people, right now, less experienced, less skilled, with fewer resources, achieving things you've only imagined. Why? Because they believe they can. And you don't, not fully. Your subconscious mind doesn't care what's true or false. It only accepts what you repeat to it consistently. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, your mind will prove it to you. It will highlight your failures, ignore your wins, and make you hesitate when opportunities show up. It will quietly sabotage you just to stay consistent with what you believe. This is why just thinking positive doesn't work. You can't move forward if your mind is still stuck in reverse. It's like trying to drive a car. With the handbrake on, you'll move, but never far. The first step is simple, but powerful. Realize that your beliefs are not facts. They're just thoughts you've repeated so many times. They started to feel real the moment you see that. You take your power back. Most people never question their beliefs. They accept them, and then spend their entire lives proving them right. But you're different. You're here because something in you is ready to break free. Those walls around you, they're just thoughts, and thoughts can change. The fear locking you in, that can be overcome. Choosing what you believe about yourself. Because the moment you truly decide, I am capable, I am powerful, I am unstoppable, everything begins to shift. Chapter 2. The Science of Self-Belief. 4S. Something that changes everything. Your brain is not fixed. For a long time, people believed your brain couldn't really change after childhood. That belief alone kept millions stuck. But science proved otherwise. Your brain is constantly changing, adapting based on your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is called neuroplasticity. Every thought you think strengthens certain connections in your brain. Repeat a thought enough, and it becomes automatic. That's how beliefs are formed. They're not magic, they're patterns right now. Every belief you have about yourself exists as a physical pathway in your brain. But here's the good news. You can build new ones every time you choose a different thought. Every time you act like the person you want to become, you're literally rewiring your brain. But there's a catch. Consistency. Thinking positively once in a while won't change your life if you spend 5 minutes motivating yourself and the rest of the day doubting yourself. Guess which one wins? Your brain strengthens what you do most often, not what you wish for. That's why most people fail to change. They say the right things, but live the same patterns. They want a new life, but keep thinking like their old self to truly change. You have to align everything, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, over and over again, until the new version of you feels natural. Until confidence isn't something you fake, it's something you are, theirs. Also, something in your brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS.think. Of it like a filter. It decides what you notice and what you ignore if you believe you're unlucky. You'll notice every bad thing. If you believe you're capable, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. Different filter, different results. Change your beliefs, and you literally change what you see in reality. Then there are mirror neurons, the part of your brain that learns by observing others. This is why the people you surround yourself with matter. You subconsciously absorb their behaviors, their mindset, their standards. So if you constantly expose yourself to confidence, growth, and success, your brain starts to copy it automatically. This is where your transformation begins. Not outside, but inside your mind. Chapter 3. Identity Shift, Becoming the Person Who Already Has It. Most people try to change their lives by changing what they do. But real transformation doesn't start with actions. It starts with identity. You don't get confidence by chasing it. You don't become successful by hoping for it. You become it by deciding who you are right now. You have an identity. Maybe it sounds like, I'm not disciplined, I'm not consistent, I always quit, I'm just not that kind of person. And without realizing it, every action you take is trying to stay consistent with that identity, because your brain's #1 job is to stay consistent with who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who procrastinates, you will procrastinate. If you see yourself as someone who lacks confidence, you will hesitate, not because you want to fail, but because your mind is trying to stay familiar. So if you want a different life, you don't just need new goals, you need a new identity. Ask yourself, who is the version of me that already has everything I want? How do they think? How do they walk into a room? How do they handle fear? How do they show up when no one is watching? That version of you isn't imaginary. It's a direction. And every time you act like that person, even in small ways, you start becoming them. Isn't built in big moments. It's built in the quiet ones, when you do what you said you'd do, when you show up, even when it's hard. When you choose growth over comfort. Identity is built through evidence. So give yourself new evidence. Again and again, until your mind has no choice but to say, this is who I am now. Chapter 4. The war in your mind, breaking self-doubt moment you decide to grow. Something strange happens. Resistance appears. Doubt gets louder. Fear feels stronger. Your mind starts fighting back. This isn't failure. This is war. A war between your old self and your new self. The old version of you wants safety. It wants comfort. It wants to stay where things are predictable. The new version of you wants growth. Expansion, something bigger. And every time you try to step forward, the old voice whispers, what if you fail? What if you're not good enough? What if people judge you? But here's the truth. Most people never realize. That voice doesn't mean stop. It means you're moving in the right direction. Self isn't your enemy. It's a signal, a sign that you're stepping outside the version of you that feels familiar. Anything unfamiliar feels uncomfortable. The goal isn't to eliminate doubt. The goal is to stop listening to it. You don't need confidence to act. You act. And confidence follows every time you move forward despite fear. You weaken the voice of doubt. Every time you hesitate, you strengthen it. So the question becomes simple. Who are you feeding? The fearful version of you, or the powerful one? Chapter 5. Emotional Conditioning. Feeling. Your future. Most people try to change their lives through logic, but your brain doesn't change through logic. It changes through emotion. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if you don't feel them, they don't. Stick. Emotion is what programs the subconscious mind think about your strongest memories. They're not strong because of the facts. They're strong because of how they made you feel. That's your power. If you want to build unshakable belief, you need to start feeling your future before it happens. Feel what it's like to be confident. Feel what it's like to win. Feel what it's like to already be that version of yourself, not as a fantasy, but as a rehearsal. Your eyes and see it clearly. How do you speak? How do you move? How do people respond to you? And most importantly, how does it feel? That feeling is the signal. The more you generate it, the more real it becomes to your mind, and your brain will start working to make it your reality. Because your mind always tries to align your outer world with your inner state. So stop waiting to feel confident, create the feeling first. Chapter 6. Relentless action, becoming unstoppably at some point. Thinking ends and action begins. Because no matter how powerful your mindset becomes, nothing changes without movement. You can visualize success. You can believe in yourself. You can reprogram your mind. But if you don't act, nothing happens. Action is what turns belief into reality. And here's the truth. You will never feel 100% ready. You will never have complete certainty. There will always be doubt, always be fear. But the people who win, they move anyway. They don't wait for motivation. They build discipline. They don't wait for confidence. They create it through action. Every step you take builds momentum. Every small win rewires your brain. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself, I am who I said I am. And that's how you become unstoppable. Not overnight, but daily. Consistently. Relentlessly. Chapter 7. The new reality. Living as your highest self. There comes a moment where everything clicks. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you become different. The things that once scared you don't control you anymore. The doubts that once stopped you feel quieter. At the version of you that once felt impossible feels normal. This is the shift. This is what happens. When belief becomes identity, don't chase success anymore. You operate from it. You don't try to be confident, you just are. And the most powerful part, you realize you were never lacking anything. You were never not enough. You were just operating from a version of yourself that wasn't true. Now you see it clearly. The power was always there. The belief was always available. The unstoppable version of you was never missing, just waiting. Chapter 8. Discipline over motivation. The real secret motivation feels powerful in the beginning. It's everything. It gives you energy. It gives you hope. It makes you feel unstoppable. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world. Other days, even getting out of bed feels like a battle. If you rely on motivation, you'll always be inconsistent. And inconsistency kills transformation. Is where discipline takes over. Discipline isn't loud. It's not exciting. It doesn't give you a rush. It's quiet. It's doing what needs to be done. Especially when you don't feel like doing it. It's showing up. When no one is watching, it's keeping promises to yourself. It's choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. The truth is simple. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. The most successful people in the world aren't always motivated, but they are consistent. They've trained themselves to act, regardless of how they feel. And that's what makes them dangerous. Start small. Don't try to change your entire life overnight. Pick one habit, one promise, one standard, and follow through, no matter what, because every time you do, you're building trust with yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of self-belief. Chapter 9. The environment effect. Designing your reality. You don't live in a vacuum. Your environment is shaping you. Every single day, the people you spend time with, the content you consume, the conversations you listen to, the energy around you, all of it is programming your mind. If you're surrounded by negativity, doubt becomes normal. If you're surrounded by mediocrity, average feels acceptable. But if you place yourself in environments of growth, everything changes. Your standards rise, your mindset expands, your belief strengthens. This is why some people transform quickly, while others stay stuck for years. It's not just willpower, it's exposure. Take a moment and look at your environment. Are the people around you pushing you forward or holding you back? Is the content you consume building your mind or weakening it? Are your daily habits aligned with the person you want to become? If not, it's time to make changes. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do need to become intentional. Follow people who inspire growth. Learn from those who have achieved what you want. Create a space physically and mentally that supports your evolution. Because when your environment supports your goals, success stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling natural. Chapter 10. The Unstoppable Standard. No going back. There comes a point in this journey where you make a decision, not a temporary decision, not a let's try this and see decision. A final one. There is no going back. You stop. Negotiating with yourself. No more. I'll start. Tomorrow. No more. Just this once. No more excuses, because that's not who you are anymore. You've raised your standard and standards. Define your life. Everyone has goals, but very few people have non-negotiable standards. A goal says, I want this. A standard says, this is who I am. When you operate from standards, everything changes. You don't need motivation. You don't need reminders. You don't need to force yourself, because your actions are no longer a choice. They're an expression of your identity. This is where you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop backing down. You stop quitting on yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop returning to the old version of you. And here's the most important truth of all. There is no perfect moment, no perfect plan, no perfect version of you waiting in the future. There is only this moment and the decision you make right now to step forward, or stay where you are, to believe, or to doubt, to become, or to remain. The door has always been open. The key has always been in your hand. Now the question is, will you walk through, or will you turn back? One more time.